So I'm Rosa, and it's great that it's Storytelling Week. How fabulous. I have a story, and I wrote a book about my story. So my book is my story. So the story is called If You Could Have Anything, What Would It Be? And it's an inspirational story because I have quite literally turned things around from, we'll go through the chapters in the book, and I now live the life of my dreams. So the very first chapter is really my sort of biggest story, which is addiction. So it's my big story is addiction to cocaine, cigarettes, alcohol, all sorts of uppers. I am a girl of uppers. I never like the downer drugs. I always like the upper drugs. Not that alcohol's an upper, but with the drugs it was all the uppers. So I've been addicted to sulfidine, which is codeine, which is kind of similar to cocaine, I guess, sort of like the same sort of track. I've been addicted. I get very addicted around caffeine, so I can't have caffeine. And I've recently really got heavily into raw cacao, and I have to be very careful with the cacao because it's a stimulant. So I have to I limit myself to every other day that I'm allowed to drink my raw cacao, because I don't want to get into the addictive cycle that I do get myself into with these things. So the first chapter in the book is a character called Rob, and Rob has got an addictive personality, which is absolutely what I have. And I am talking about my own experience, and I really do believe that I was born with an addictive personality, and that I bring this addictive personality to everything that I do. What I've done now is I've transformed that into very positive addictions. So I meditate every day, and I do yoga every day, and I juice every day, and I have very, very positive addictions. But I do feel that I have an addictive personality, so I have to be careful around certain things. And Rob is struggling. And as a yoga teacher and meditation teacher for nearly 15 years, that is very much what has supported me and really helped me all the way through all of my addictions. And so Rob finds a yoga class and he starts yoga, and he's okay, he's all right. And then, so I've got a little, for Christmas, I got a little disc here, which has got my sobriety date, which was the 14th of October 2012, which is very good. Chapter 2, Are You Stuck in an Unhappy Relationship? So our second chapter is Sam, and Sam is, so the reader doesn't realise that it's me, like I'm giving you sort of like the lowdown. That you find that the reader finds out in the last chapter that actually this is all me. Sam is in an abusive relationship. I was in an abusive relationship for 10 years, and I was in this relationship for 9 years, knowing that I wanted to get out of it. So the first year was happy, the subsequent 9 years was crap. And I knew I wanted to get out of it, but I didn't know how. And I was really young, and exactly the same thing. I was following society. Society said that you find someone that you stick it out. You stick with them, and women, I think, certainly have an unrealistic idea that they can change men. That this guy can be changed, and we can change him, and he'll settle down, and all of that. And I very much felt that. I met him when I was 20, and I slept with him when I was 30, so literally the whole of my 20s was with this guy. And again, it was when I started yoga and meditation, it gave me an inner confidence in myself, and finally I was ready to leave the guy and go out there on my own. And I actually did that when I was in Thailand, but then that's chapter 4, so we'll get there in a bit. So An abusive relationship for 10 years, horrible. I mean, being told that you are, I won't say the word because it is a horrible word that begins with C and has 4 letters, but being told that you are one of those every single day of your life for 10 years or 9 years is not good at all. But you start to believe it. And I did. On some level, I did believe it. So it was the yoga and the meditation that really built up my confidence to the point where I was like, okay, I'm worth more than this. Chapter 3. Are you unhappy in your job? I worked for John Lewis in Oxford Street for 12 years, starting at the age of 16. And I knew that getting up at 6 in the morning, travelling in on the tube, like standing like this, paying a fortune to get up there, and standing on my feet all day, serving people who were not very nice to me, I kind of knew that there was more to life, but I didn't know what. So I started searching for something, and I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew that there was something more for me. There was a passion. And I didn't know what that was, and then somebody at John Lewis said to me, there's a yoga class going on. And it was after work at 6 o'clock in the evening. I'd been at work all day, I was exhausted, and I thought, well, I'll give this yoga class a try. Went to this class, thank goodness that I did. Had this epiphany moment in the class. I was absolutely rubbish, by the way, but I was like this. I couldn't get any further than that. I was like, oh my God, but the tightness in my body, in this whole area, was very much emotional, I know now, from this abusive relationship and the drugs that I was taking from chapter 1 and 2. But even though I was rubbish and I was like this, I knew that I was going to be a yoga teacher. It was just like that. It was something just clicked within me. I went up to the teacher at the end and said, I'm going to be a yoga teacher. And she was like, brilliant. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do that because I'm the most rubbish person in the class. Like everyone else was touching their toes, or at least nearly there, and I was like struggling up here. But I knew that I was going to be a yoga teacher. Fabulous. Obviously, I did become a yoga teacher. But what I then did was I went to Thailand. And I went with the abusive ex. And we went out there together, we sold up our flat here in Essex, and we went off to Thailand, and what I realise now is that I was running away from my problems. I thought I was starting over and starting this new life, but I kind of realised that I was escaping, along with the drinking and the drugs and all of that. It was all escaping from not living my purpose and being with this really abusive guy. But I went to Thailand and I found somebody who trained me to be a yoga teacher. I became a yoga teacher in Thailand, so I started teaching back in January 2001, where I also opened up a shop. And it was actually, and this is why I have no regrets, absolutely no regrets, even though I've been through a lot of rubbish, and everyone has, everyone's got their own story. But I don't have any regrets because it was the abusive ex that said to me one day in Thailand when we were first there, back in 2000, he said to me, Jo, if you could do anything, what would it be? Like, he was the person that actually said those words to me. And I sat there and I thought, and it was the first time anyone had ever said anything like that to me. And it was the first time that I opened up my mind. And I thought, if I could have anything, what would it be? And I'd worked at John Lewis in Oxford Street for 12 years in retail, and that's what I was really good at. That I was really good at customer service. I was really good at buying and loved clothes and jewellery, so I opened a shop. So I opened up a shop in Koh Samui in Thailand. Went up to Bangkok, did all my shopping with a couple of Thai friends, which was just so much fun. And one of my Thai friends happened to have an apartment in Bangkok. So we just had the most amazing week in Bangkok, bought a load of stuff, and I started selling natural crystal jewellery and natural clothes that I bought in Bangkok, and then I had a yoga studio above the shop. So I was quite literally living the dream. Still had this abusive ex, like I was getting there with him, but that soon went as well, and I got the courage and the strength to leave him. So he was gone, I had this new business and this new life and this new purpose, and I had a shop and I had a yoga studio, everything was wonderful. Drugs were still going on, but there we go. Stayed out there for 6 years, so I was living out there full time for 6 years, had the most amazing time, and then it was just time for me to come back, and it was very much like something was knocking on the door. And the more that I didn't listen, the louder it was getting. And like, to the point where I found myself in a situation where I was in my car in Koh Samui, and somebody, a Thai person, drove into me and got taken off in an ambulance, like blood everywhere. That is to the point that it got that I wasn't listening. So I was like, okay, I'm going, and I literally started to make plans to leave after that time. I just suddenly felt so vulnerable somewhere. I didn't want to be there anymore. And that was just, it made complete sense to me. I mean, obviously it wasn't, it was awful. But that guy's karma as well. He shouldn't have been driving so bloody fast. So I came back. So I came back to England, and I was a yoga teacher, and I bought into a children's yoga franchise, naming no names, and I, through that business, went bankrupt. So I actually did come back with nothing. So I came back to England skinned completely, but it was okay. And then I set up this business, and it was missold to me, and I went bankrupt. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, I have to write this down. This is very cool. This is very, very cool. Again, no regrets, absolutely no regrets. This was a real turning point. At 9 AM, on the 9th of the 9th, 2009, I went bankrupt. You know, what more could you want? It was really cool. I actually sat in there smiling. I just knew that it was something that I had to do, and it was almost like clearing all of that whole kind of story got cleared, and with the bankruptcy, all the debt, all the drama, all the abuse, and it all went. I was still drinking, but that's okay. That came a little bit later. And it was like a fresh start. Literally, it was like a fresh start. And I had met my potential husband by then. We met in 2008, and things were great. Things were really great. Again, I've been doing yoga and meditation all the way through this. Very much so. So actually, let's go back to this. So the character, the debt character is Meg. Meg is in trouble, and she feels like her life has been turned upside down. She's been struggling for a while, but is in complete denial. It is a hard thing to admit that your business is failing and you hardly have enough money to feed yourself. I was living on fish finger sandwiches. It's literally all I could afford. But then her accountant tells her that the situation is so bad, her best bet is bankruptcy. Meg is devastated. Where does she go from here? It was when I came back from Thailand in 2006, I'd just seen The Secret, and I was sort of really into the law of attraction, and I got into vision boards, and vision boards are I love vision boards. I think they're brilliant. I think mapping out where you want to go. Like you get in your car, you know where you're going. Your car doesn't decide where you're going. Like you know where the destination is. And I very much see that vision boards are that vision boards are mapping out the destination where you want to go. So I bought one of my vision boards, which is kind of like a business vision board. I'd already got some evidence by this time. This is my husband, bless him. But I haven't got the picture with me. I usually have it with me for my talks. I'd taken a picture of my sister and brother-in-law, which was exactly the same as this. And when I was single, I'd come back from Thailand for a holiday in 2004, and I took a picture of them, and they didn't know that the picture had been taken, and it was exactly the same as them looking into each other's eyes. And then this was a friend of mine's wedding, and we went from Cambridge, where she got married, and on a route master into London, and the photographer was all over the bus, and she then sent me this picture a few weeks later, and there was a picture exactly the same of Dominic and myself. So that was my first real tangible evidence of the law of attraction and that vision boards really do work. And once I'd started, I was kind of like on a bit of a roll. I was rolling with it. So I've got on here, and I thought I'd show. I mean, I actually keep this. I show this to all of my clients. I've got my book in the centre, which obviously has now manifested completely. I didn't even know what the title was here. This is 2011 and 2012, and so I've got the relationship. Trying to get the six-pack, still haven't managed the six-pack. I just don't think I'm destined to have a six-pack. It's just, I just think some bodies aren't supposed to go that way. And then just sort of various things. This is very much sort of here is about retreats, worldwide retreats, and sort of like a lovely studio with lots of light and lots of windows, and yeah, lots of people doing yoga. A Prius, don't want a Prius anymore. I do now need a 4x4, but I'll tell you a bit more about that in a bit. And then a retreat centre. So kind of this was the goal. This is where it was all going to go. And this, I mean, I did this in 2011, and it was really sort of what I wanted for the 2011, 2012. But the ultimate goal really was the retreat centre, sort of getting to that point. And I thought that would probably be about 5 or 10 years' time. So that's the little vision board. So anyway, chapter 6, all of the characters, so characters 1 to 5, end up at one of my yoga retreats that Dominic and I have been holding for about 4 years in Norfolk. So we were renting a house from a family friend, and we've been doing this, yeah, for about 4 years now. So all the characters, it was quite weird writing about the 5 me's all turning up at a house where I'm meeting me as me. So it all got a bit confusing. It was great writing it. I wrote it in 6 months. It was just like it was absolutely brilliant. And so yeah, so the final chapter, getting unstuck. I really do think that, having nearly teaching for 14 years, that I like teaching yoga classes, and the reason that I couldn't get here before I did today was because I was teaching a yoga class this morning, and I didn't want to disrupt that. But actually going a bit deeper with my customers is where I'm going to now. I want to spend a weekend with people. I want people to spend a weekend with me. I want to show them my vision boards. I want them to talk to me, to build a relationship. I want to get to know them, do some coaching, guide them. An hour class or an hour and a half class is really just scratching the surface. It's like, hi, let's do some yoga, stretch, move, a bit of meditation, bye, see you next week. That's it, it's gone. And that for me is not enough anymore. So so I've been developing this retreat idea. Anyway. So I joined the Lucky Prosperity Spiral, which is where I know Helen from. And for me, joining a group which was a mentoring group, which was about really getting into your purpose and your passion, just went whoosh, and it was like my life just got thrown into the future. Like suddenly I was running at 1,000 miles an hour, and on the, I think we worked out on the 4th of March it was, we found the house. And we moved in on the 1st of July last year, and welcome to Inner Guidance Retreat Centre. Wow. And I manifested the the retreat centre, and it's even better than the one in the picture. I mean, it's so much nicer than this one. I mean, it's nice. I'm not saying that it's horrible, but you know, I am quite literally living the dream. And I've got a studio which has got so much light, it's unbelievable. So the yoga studio is huge, and it's triple aspect, it's got a fireplace, it's got beautiful wood throughout. The bedrooms are absolutely gorgeous, and the house is 16th century. And we moved in on Monday the 1st of July, and on Tuesday the 2nd of July we found out that Gandhi has stayed in our house.
Wow.
Wow. So we didn't even know that when we took this project on. And so I found that out. We didn't have any internet for ages, Suffolk, living in the middle of nowhere, etc. And so I was going down to Tesco and doing all of my, sort of like once a week, twice a week, going down to Tesco, doing my webinars, like in the middle of Tesco, and all my emails, and sort of scheduling in all of these things that I had to do online, all my Facebooking, everything. And I was in Tesco, and Dominic phoned me and said, I've just found out that Gandhi has stayed in our house, and I was just like crying my eyes out. And I thought probably most of the people in Tesco Sudbury think that the boyfriend's just broken up with me, and that's why I'm crying. But actually, I've just found out that Gandhi stayed in my house. Amazing moment. So the previous owner was the head of a peace movement, basically, and that's why Gandhi stayed in our house. The previous owner, Peter Howard, travelled the world with this peace movement, meeting heads of state, religious leaders, and then when they came to the UK, they would come and stay with the Howard family in the house. So we've had a list as long as your arm of leaders that have stayed in the house. So it's got a really, really, really amazing energy, and Dominic and I very much feel that the house found us. We weren't looking for this. Like, I thought that this would happen 5 or 10 years from now. It was my dream, but I didn't think it would happen straight away. And we feel that the house found us, and that we are just meant to be there doing what we're doing, because we have our own yoga retreats, and we are renting the space out to other leaders to come and bring their groups and their training and come and hold their retreats. So we've got somebody doing a soul confidence retreat this weekend, and we've got a yoga retreat next weekend. We do the catering, and Dominic just had environmental health around this week, and we've got 5 stars, hygiene certificate, whatever it's called, in the kitchen, and it's just all going really well. So it's just a story, really, of if you could have anything, what would it be? Like, don't put limits on your life. Don't put limits on. Just why can't we have whatever is in our wildest dreams? Why not? There's nothing to stop us from having whatever we dream of, as long as it is good for us and good for others. As long as we are vibrating at that energy, I really do believe that we can have absolutely anything.